pursuant to the mission statement, would ask that the video be played since it reflects the watchdog in question.
Food stamp fraud. It is costing Americans millions in taxpayer money.
It's happening across the country, in New York, L.A., Miami, Detroit, and here in San Diego.
In the past 5 years alone, the USDA permanently disqualified 4,600 retailers.
24 Phoenix area stores permanently disqualified.
San Diego retailers ripping off the federal government.
23 of those retailers are in the Palm Beaches.
This store, like many we found, is both banned from accepting food stamps and approved to accept them.
Investigators poured over the records. We learned
1,500 stores across the country on both of them.
The USDA says 99% of the time it's for illegal trafficking.
A retailer will overcharge a customer and then pocket the difference.
they want to trade their benefits for cash or banned merchandise like alcohol.
And then trading booze for taxpayer money.
The store keeps $50, the cardholder gets $50, all taxpayer money.
What does this, backdoor ultimately cost us taxpayers?
According to USDA records, $330 million in 2008.
America deserves better. Just yesterday, one of our witnesses penned an op-ed that depicted the improvement in the SNAP program, proudly stating how much better it was. It is not for us today to question whether or not the program has improved. The question is, in a day in which, in a moment's notice, in a few keystrokes, I can look at a storefront anywhere in America, find out who, what, where owns that, or in this case, the Scripps Howard could do a few public record searches available to the Department of Agriculture and find out what they were doing wrong from open source. We need to do better. The hearing today is about children. The hearing today is about families. Ultimately, the food stamp program is about providing nutrition to people in need. 42 million people rely on the food stamp program. A few misuse the program. Our hearing today is not about the individuals who, out of desperation for drugs, alcohol, or just spending money, misuse food stamps. It's about America's responsibility, this administration and this Congress's responsibility, to make sure that the money or the benefit of the money gets to the people who were supposed to get it. It is not to buy alcohol, cigarettes, or drugs. A relatively few storefronts around America represent a considerable amount of fraud. Understand that a small amount of stores does not mean there's a small amount of fraud. People who want to use, or misuse, I should say, the resources provided to them by the taxpayer in the way of food stamps seek out stores who will cheat. It's not an accident that you find out that somewhere in the neighborhood an entity will trade you $100 in food stamps for $50 in cash so you can go score. That score is bad enough, but let's understand, somewhere there's a family that relied on food that instead got nothing. These companies and these individuals behind these companies need to be punished on a consistent basis. If, in fact, they are suspended, it needs to be for a period of time with an understanding of whether or not they are ever going to be able to sell again. If they are permanently excluded, then, in fact, permanent needs to mean permanent. More importantly, in this day and age of the ability to research, if you only have 100 people to track this huge amount of potential waste, one can make the other 99 more effective. The scandal we are looking at today is important because we know that 100 people working for the Secretary, in fact, found people who were stealing from the taxpayers and stealing from families who need that food and need that benefit. One of those 100 assigned to do what whistleblowers have done for us, in fact, could have prevented many of these stores from being back in business. It's that simple. We will hear today, as we often do, if we only had more resources. This committee has no more resources to provide. In fact, you're going to have to do more for less. That's more oversight, more accountability, with less money available for that, and more need by people on the food stamp program. Ultimately, we're going to hear testimony that on both sides saying we're doing a better job, and we're going to hear people saying you're not doing well enough. Both can be true. America, in fact, expects both to be true. Continuous improvement, but in fact, never satisfied that we've done enough. With that, I recognize the ranking member for his opening statement.
I want to thank